changing. I'm a buyer. Should I jump in? I'm a seller. Did I miss it? No. Yes. No. Yes to buyer. No to seller. Seller. No. Hey, look, the market is what it is. I talk about it in videos all the time. Make sure that you're really focused on why you're buying and selling, and the market will be right for you. Well, that sounds pretty, typical coming from a realtor. It's always a good time to buy and sell. Well, the thing is the market changes and it's really hard to time it. That's why I say that. I say it because it's hard to pinpoint the right time, and every once in a while you get it right. I mean, a couple years ago, I bought a property and it's done pretty well. But 5 years before that, I took a bath on a property. I thought it was the right time, because even the professionals don't always know. And that's my point. All the stuff that you see online, all that stuff is driven for ad revenue, and not a lot of it is actually really tuned into what's going on in the market. So what's happening is we have interest rates at 5.4. They have struggled in the stock market because the stock market actually improved. So the people who buy bonds went back to the stock market, causing the bonds to not be a great investment, therefore the interest rate to rise. So but they have to buy the bonds and then the interest rate goes down. I know it's kind of complicated, but basically when the stock market does well, the interest rates tend to go up, and vice versa. So we have the interest rate at 5.4. Doesn't sound really good to buyers, but then, if you're a buyer, there is more inventory. This week, we have 270 properties where we've only been kind of hovering at 200 to 220 in the high season last year. So more inventory is coming on, a little bit more selection. But I'm a seller. Did I miss it? No, you didn't miss it. It's still a great market. You could still get a really good price. I mean, really, prices are still holding pretty tight. But to get that, I recommend, what I always recommend is that you be ultra prepared. You have your house painted if you need, cleaned. Windows, please do windows. This is the perfect time of year to do windows. Oh my gosh, I cannot say enough about washing your windows. Staging if you need to, being ultimately prepared for the marketing and the video. I had 2 listings go on in the last 3 weeks, sell within 3 days for over asking, all cash. Seller, hear that? All cash. Well, part of it wasn't that I'm just such a great realtor. I hate those ads, by the way, that's like, oh, I sold it for over asking. No, you underpriced it. But what I'm really saying is when you're prepared to go on the marketing and on the market, and then your marketing works and your property looks great, you get that buyer who's still looking, because that buyer's still out there. Why? Because they've missed out on so many else's homes, and because the inventory is low. That's why the market is still really good. In a supply and demand situation, we are still at demand and low supply. The inventory is not coming. I don't think it's coming any slower than we thought it would, but more would come on, and it has. So it's actually kind of doing what I thought it was going to do. I just didn't know the interest rates were going to get so crazy, because they've been going up and down. We've heard they've just going to go up. Interest rates are always hard, especially when they're being artificially moved up and down, which we saw in the last 2 years as well. So let me hit some statistics for you really quickly. Santa Cruz County single-family residents today, we had 66 new listings, but we had 26 price reductions. Is that bad? No. That means that some of those properties that were already a little too high priced, which I had been talking about before in past videos, is the stuff on the edge that's not that great a condition, not marketed well, doesn't look good, not good location, you're going to start to see the price reductions. And you're also going to start to see the ones that were just a little high priced and they're a perfectly nice home and have all the bells and whistles. They were just a little too high. They'll start to come down faster. But listen to this. We have 44 pending and contingent. Now that's down 12 from the week before, but you're going to see this a little bit because it was the end of school and because of the holiday. So that's the thing. It's always so subjective because we have seasonal markers that change our market, not necessarily interest rates or buyer or seller activity in the market. So keep those things in mind. We had 35 sold last week. We have 33 sold this week. Expired and canceled, we're up. Now, I have always said that when you see expireds and cancels that you have an indication that the market's changing a little bit too. But, again, it's the same thing. It wasn't marketed well. That seller didn't really have the right motivation to sell, was just trying to get it highest possible price, or maybe they just didn't need to sell after a while. The active inventory is 270. We're up 14, which is good. It's good. And sellers, I think it's always good to have a little bit of competition in the market. It actually keeps the buyer engaged. It keeps them focused, because if there's only one listing coming out a week, I will tell you, I have had buyers sit on the fence because there wasn't enough to look at. I use this analogy. Would you buy the last loaf of bread? But there's a real kind of a cool spot in the market, and that's if you own a condo or townhome. We had 15 last week, we had 15 come on this week, and we have 16 pending and contingent. So we have a bright spot in the market where it actually could almost be considered affordable. There's a little bit more coming on. So it's a great place to be if you have a condo or townhome to sell. We have an active inventory of 45, sold 9, expired, canceled only 1. Remember that indicator. Expired and canceled sometimes show a little bit of a shift, or when things have just been a little too hot, and condos, they're just hanging right in there. So what does all this mean? Well, I have buyers and I have sellers. I have buyers that are looking, and they're kind of excited because their price point of 1.9 is maybe down to 1.7 or 6, and that's kind of exciting. But at the same time, they may not see the inventory that they were hoping for, because sometimes the higher end is the first to come off the market. It's usually the lower end, because those people are looking to move up or move out. So the market is what it is. I encourage you to make your decisions based on what's best for you and your life situation, your job, or your family, and you will do okay. We're still in a very good market. I understand other markets are really going down. I heard this morning that Arizona is just, they have all kinds of inventory and their market's going down. You know what? Arizona is the strangest market. It goes up and it goes down, and I think they always have a lot more inventory than us. So the takeaway from that is, don't compare us to anywhere else. Make sure you get your information local. Talk to local agents who are doing the business. I have listings, I have buyers, and I am seeing that overall, the buyers are still very much engaged. They're still very interested. They are actually happy to see more inventory, but the sellers are also still getting their price if they are properly prepared. And of course, if you need any more information, call me, text me, email, make a comment. Hey, subscribe. I always forget to ask for people to subscribe because I just want to get to the meat of the material, but I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Bye.